What if the silence in your life was never empty? What if God has been whispering to you, not once, but again and again, and you just haven't slowed down enough to hear Him? You've been rushing, fixing, carrying everyone else's burdens, praying only when the pain gets too loud, and somewhere along the way, you started to wonder, is God still speaking? Yes, He is. He's been speaking all along, through every sunrise, through every moment you felt unseen, through the ache you tried to ignore, through the quiet voice you kept brushing aside. This is your invitation to finally pause and listen, because the one who loves you more than anyone ever could has been trying to say something, not to shame you, but to remind you, to restore you, to call you back to the place where His voice is the loudest thing in your life again. He's not far. He's not silent. He's not done. He's just waiting for you to hear Him again. My child, I know you've been busy. You've been running after deadlines, running from pain, running through days so full of motion that your heart no longer knows what stillness feels like. You wake up rushing, you go to bed exhausted, and somewhere in between, you wonder if I am still near. But I've never left. I've been here all along, gently whispering in the stillness you've forgotten how to enter. You see, I never asked you to be in a hurry. I never designed you for noise without pause. I never meant for your soul to be flooded by notifications, headlines, or worries. I created you for communion, for quiet walks in the garden, for moments where you stop long enough to hear my voice echoing through creation, through scripture, through the breath in your lungs. The world will keep spinning, the noise will keep shouting, but I am not in the rush. I am not in the chaos. I am in the quiet. In 1 Kings 19, Elijah ran. He was tired, afraid, desperate. And when I came to him, I didn't come in the wind. I didn't come in the earthquake. I didn't come in the fire. I came in a still, small voice. And that's how I still come. You've prayed for clarity, for peace, for answers, and I've been trying to speak, but your schedule is louder than my whisper. I've waited in the early morning, when the light breaks through your window. I've waited in the evening silence, after the day has taken its toll. I've waited in the pause between conversations, in the space between heartbeats. I've waited for you to slow down, not so that you could become unproductive, but so that you could become present. My presence isn't something you have to strive for. You don't have to earn it with performance. You don't have to manufacture it with perfection. It's a gift. I am Emmanuel, God with you, not just when you're in church, not just when you're on your knees, but in traffic, in the kitchen, in the doctor's office, in the grocery aisle. I am there, but your heart has to slow to feel it. You are not made for endless motion. Even my son, Jesus, withdrew to lonely places to pray. Even he took time to rest, to be alone with me. If the Son of God needed to stop, what makes you think you can keep going without pause? You don't impress me with your pace. You don't disappoint me with your need for rest. I designed you that way. Billy Graham once said, "Nothing can bring a real sense of security into the home except true love. And that love is found not just in doing, but in being with me, in letting me love you when you're not doing anything useful, in learning how to just sit at my feet, like Mary did, while Martha rushed around. I loved both of them, but I said Mary chose the better thing, and it wouldn't be taken away from her. So slow down, child. Turn off the noise. Put down the phone. Step outside and look at the sky I painted. Breathe deep. Listen. I am there. I am here. You don't need another task. You need my presence. You don't need more approval. You already have my affection. You don't need to run harder. You need to walk with me. In PSA 46:10, I said, "Be still and know that I am God." That's not just a poetic suggestion, it's a command and a promise. In the stillness, you will find the knowing. In the quiet, you will hear me again. In the slowing, you will discover that I never moved. You may have filled your life with good things, family, work, service, ministry. But when those good things become loud things and they drown out my voice, you start to feel empty, even while surrounded. You begin to confuse activity with intimacy. You begin to confuse production with connection. But I'm not asking you for more effort. I'm asking for more of you. When you walk outside, I'm there. When you sit with your coffee in the morning, I'm there. When you rest your head on the pillow at night, I'm still there. You don't have to do anything grand. Just pause. Just breathe. Just turn your heart toward me again. Because the greatest breakthroughs in your life won't always come through striving. They will come through surrender, the rough stillness, through that sacred moment when you stop long enough to realize that you are not alone. You've never been alone, and you never will be. So slow down, my child. I'm not in the rush. I'm in the whisper. I'm in the quiet. I'm in the peace that comes when you stop everything else and just let me be with you. You've been carrying something, quietly, privately, for far too long. Maybe no one else knows it's there. Maybe you've buried it so deeply beneath smiles and responsibilities that you've even convinced yourself it doesn't matter anymore. But it does. That ache in your heart, the one that surfaces when you're alone or tired or still for a moment too long, it matters to me, and I want to heal it. You've gotten good at living around the pain. You've learned how to function with a limp, how to laugh while bleeding inside, how to say, I'm fine, when your soul is anything but. You've told yourself it's too late to deal with it now, that it's too small to bother me, that realign is something you missed your chance on. But I'm still here, and I'm still willing. You see, I've watched it all. I was there when the wound first opened. I saw the betrayal, the abandonment, the diagnosis, the failure. I saw the moment you stopped believing that healing was for you. And my heart broke with yours. But I didn't turn away. I never do. I've been right here, waiting for you to stop covering it with busyness or religion or performance, or waiting for you to let me in, not just to the parts of you that feel strong, but especially to the places that feel broken. Billy Graham once said, "The cross shows us the seriousness of our sin, but it also shows us the immeasurable love of God." And that same cross, the place where my son bled for you, is also the place where your deepest wounds find healing, not by effort, not by willpower, but by grace. Isaiah 53:5 declares, "By his wounds we are healed." That healing is not a metaphor. It is not reserved for some future moment in eternity. It begins now, here, in this moment. If you'll let me touch the place that hurts. You don't have to understand it fully. You just have to open the door. I won't force my way in. I never do. But I knock. Gently. Repeatedly. I knock through tears you don't let fall. Through memories that still sting. Through longings you've tried to ignore. I knock, not to shame you, but to restore you. To bring light into that hidden place and do what only I can do, make you whole again. Healing won't always look the way you expect. Sometimes it means closure. Sometimes it means comfort. Sometimes it means a new perspective, a release, a forgiveness you didn't think possible. But it always begins with trust. Trusting that I care about your pain. Trusting that I haven't forgotten what you've been through. Trusting that I still have the power and the will to make it new. You may think, but God, I've already tried, I've prayed, I've cried, nothing changed. But don't confuse delay with denial. Don't confuse silence with absence. I was working even in the waiting, even in the days you felt numb, even in the moments you almost walked away. The ache you carry is not too heavy for me. The memories you avoid are not too dark for me. The tears you never cried are not wasted with me. I am the God who sees. I am the God who heals. I am the God who binds up the brokenhearted, not in theory, but in reality. And I want to begin with you. Come to me, not with polished prayers, but with honest ones. Tell me where it hurts. Tell me what you lost. Tell me what you've given up hoping for. And then, be still long enough to let my love start doing what it always does. Restore. You are not a lost cause. You are not too far gone. You are not too complicated for my compassion. There is still healing in my name. There is still balm in my word. There is still resurrection power in my spirit. But I won't force it. I invite. And now I'm inviting you. Not to perform, not to pretend, but to come, just as why you are. With the ache you've tried to ignore, with the sorrow you've tried to silence, with the questions you've been afraid to ask. And I will meet you there, not with judgment, but with mercy, not with disappointment, but with delight, because the ache in your heart has never pushed me away. It has only drawn me closer. Let me heal what you've been hiding. Let me restore what you thought was ruined. Let me be the comfort your soul never knew it was allowed to ask for. That ache in your heart, it matters. And I, your Father, your Savior, your healer, I want to heal it. You've been striving so long that you've forgotten what rest feels like. Deep down, you keep asking yourself questions you've never said aloud. Am I good enough? Am I doing enough? Have I disappointed God? You work harder. You pray more earnestly. You serve without slowing down. And still something inside whispers, it's not enough. But child, hear me clearly. You don't have to prove anything to me. I didn't call you into my presence because of your resume. I didn't choose you because of your perfection. I didn't love you because of your effort. I loved you first. I loved you while you were still lost. I loved you before you did a single thing for me. And I haven't stopped, not once. Billy Graham once said, God proved his love on the cross. When Christ hung and bled and died, it was God saying to the world, I love you. That love was not a response to your performance. It was the source of your salvation. My son did not die for you because you were strong. He died for you because you were broken and still worth redeeming. Somewhere along the way, the lie took root in your heart that my favor must be earned, that my affection must be kept through behavior, that I am constantly watching to see if you mess up so I can withdraw my presence. But that is not who I am. I am your father, and fathers who love their children do not demand perfection. They offer presence. I don't want your striving. I want your surrender. I don't need your spotless record. I want your honest heart. You don't have to earn the right to be with me. The veil was torn. The debt was paid. The door is open. Come boldly, not because you're worthy, but because I said you are welcome. I see the pressure you put on yourself to always have the answer, to always be okay, to always say the right thing, do the right thing, show up even when you're exhausted. But my son already bore the weight you keep trying to carry. You can let go now. Let go of the need to fix everything. Let go of the idea that your failures disqualify you. Let go of the fear that one mistake will cause me to leave. My love is not like the world's love. It is not fragile. It is not conditional. It is not insecure. I see you in your weakness, and I do not flinch. I see you in your doubt, and I do not pull away. I see you in your silence, and I do not grow impatient. You are not on trial with me. You are not being graded. You are not being measured against someone else's calling. You are my child, and I am proud to call you mine. Zephaniah 3:17 says, "The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love, he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing." Did you hear that? I delight in you, not just when you succeed, not just when you're strong. I delight in you right now, in your mess, in your effort, in your confusion, in your growth. You are not a burden to me. You are not a disappointment. You are not a project. I am not waiting to love you until you get it all together. You already have my heart, so breathe. Lay down the armor. Stop trying to earn what's already yours. You are saved by grace. You are sustained by grace. And when you fall, my grace is still there. My Spirit is not your critic. He is your comforter. He is your helper. He is your constant reminder that it is finished. You don't have to prove anything to me. You don't have to fight for my attention. You already have it. I saw you before anyone else did. I knew you before you were born. I loved you before you took your first breath. And I have never stopped. Let my love be enough for you. Let my presence be your peace. Let my word be your identity. Because the performance is over. The pressure can lift. And my voice will always say the same thing. You are mine. You are loved. And you don't have to prove anything, ever again. There are moments in your life no one else witnessed. Moments you don't talk about anymore. Moments you've pushed into the shadows. The tears you wiped quickly before anyone noticed. The nights you buried your face into your pillow so no one would hear. The silent ache behind your eyes in the middle of a crowded room. The heartbreak you never fully gave voice to, but I saw it all. I have seen every tear. Even the ones you forgot, you cried. You may have learned to hide them from others, but you never had to hide them from me. I was there when your heart broke. I was there when the words cut deeper than any wound on your skin. I was there when the silence felt unbearable. I was there when the loneliness screamed louder than any crowd. Psalm 56:8 says, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." That's not poetic exaggeration. That's the heart of a father who doesn't miss a single moment of your pain. Billy Graham once said, "Tears shed for self are tears of weakness, but tears shed for others are a sign of strength." But even the tears you've shed for yourself, tears you may be judged as weakness, I received as worship, because they were real, they were honest, and I'm far more moved by honesty than by pretense. I didn't ask you to be stoic. I didn't ask you to hold it together for everyone else. I asked you to come to me, as you are, with your grief, with your burdens, with your fragile faith and trembling heart. You've taught yourself to move on, to toughen up, to smile and say, "God is good," while something inside you is still asking, "Then why did this happen?" But child, I never asked you to understand everything. I asked you to trust me, even with the tears, even with the unspoken questions, even with the pain that still lingers, because when no one else saw, I saw. When no one else stayed, I remained. When no one else understood, I knew exactly what your heart was trying to say. I remember the tears that hit the steering wheel while you sat alone in the car. I remember the ones you shed quietly in the church pew, not wanting anyone to see. I remember the ones you let fall in the middle of worship, unsure whether you were crying from conviction or weariness, or both. I remember the ones you never let fall at all. I counted those too. You are not unseen. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. I don't just hear your prayers. I hear your silence. I don't just receive your praise. I receive your pain. Every tear is sacred to me. Evrayek matters. Every wound has a place in my story of redemption. I know the world taught you to be strong, but true strength is not found in pretending. It's found in surrender, in trusting me with the parts of you that still hurt, in believing that even now, after all this time, I can bring beauty from the ashes. Let me into that place you locked long ago. Let me hold what others dropped. Let me heal what still feels open. Let me prove that I was always there, even in the darkest moments, even when you thought I didn't care, because I did, and I do, and I will. I am the God who collects your tears, not just your victories. I am the God who dwells with the brokenhearted. I am the God who sits with you in the valley, not just at the mountaintop. You don't need to explain your pain to me. You don't need to justify why it still hurts. You only need to bring it. Bring me the sorrow. Bring me the memories. Bring me the things you buried too deep to face. And I will meet you there, not with condemnation, but with comfort, not with shame, but with shelter, not with distance, but with the nearness of a father who has never stopped watching, never stopped caring, never stopped loving. So let the tears fall, if they need to, not because you are weak, but because you are safe. And know this, none of them are wasted. I have seen every tear, even the ones you forgot you cried, and I will use them, not just to heal you, but to water something new in your life that only grows in the soil of surrender. I see it, the way you carry the weight of your past like a shadow you can't outrun. I hear the quiet words you whisper over yourself, the regrets that play like a broken record in the back of your mind. You replay the mistake. You relive the failure. You punish yourself quietly, not with visible chains, but with invisible shame. But child, listen closely. You're forgiven. You can stop punishing yourself now. You say you believe in grace, but you haven't extended it to yourself. You tell others God forgives, yet you live like you're the exception. But there are no exceptions to the cross. No wounds too deep. No sins too stained. No story too far gone. The blood of my son didn't stop short of your failure. It covered it completely. You think you have to keep proving how sorry you are. You think if you carry it long enough, hard enough, maybe then I'll believe you've repented. But repentance isn't about punishment. It's about coming home. And you're already home. When Jesus said on the cross, "It is finished," he meant it. The debt was paid. The verdict was rendered. You were declared clean, not by your effort, but by his sacrifice. You are no longer defined by what you did. You are defined by what he did. Billy Graham once said, "No matter how far you have strayed from God, his love still reaches out to you." And I would add, no matter how much you struggle to forgive yourself, my forgiveness is still real, still active, still yours. You are not stronger than the blowout of Christ. Your sin is not greater than his mercy. You cannot undo what he declared finished. I know what you did. I knew it before you did it. And I chose you anyway. Not blindly, not reluctantly, but fully aware of every weakness, every wound, every wandering. And still, I came. Still, I died. Still, I rose again, with your name written on my hands. So why do you keep picking up what I already laid down? Why do you relive what I've already redeemed? Why do you return to the grave of guilt when I already rolled the stone away? Let it go, not because it wasn't serious, but because I am more powerful than your shame. Because grace doesn't ignore your sin, it overwhelms it. You're not fooling me when you punish yourself. I see through it. I know you're trying to atone for what you can't undo, but that's what the cross was for. That's why it's called mercy. That's why it's called grace. Not a grace that says, try harder. A grace that says, come home. You can stop performing now. You can stop hiding. You can stop carrying the guilt that I already buried. Romans 8:1 says, there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. That includes you, especially you. You don't have to earn your way back. You don't have to bleed to belong. You belong because I said so. You are forgiven because I willed it. You are covered because I love you. That shame you keep feeding, it's not from me. That voice that calls you unworthy, it's not mine. That guilt that drags you back into darkness, I never sent it. I only lead forward. I only lead with light. And I'm calling you into freedom. You may feel like you're still broken, still damaged, still stained, but in my eyes, you are clean, whole, beloved. Not because of who you are, but because of who I am. So stop punishing yourself. That's not what I want. I want your presence, not your penance. I want your heart, not your shame. I want your trust, not your fear. You are forgiven. You are free. Walk in that. And the next time the enemy tries to remind you of your past, remind him of the cross, because the story is already written. The debt is already paid. The tomb is already empty. And the chains you still feel, they're only in your hands if you choose to pick them back up. So let go. Stand up. Look in my eyes again. You are forgiven. Forever. You've looked at the calendar and counted the years. You've looked around and wondered if your time has passed. You've said things like, I've done my part, or let the younger ones lead now. You've watched dreams fade, opportunities close, and people move on. And somewhere in the quiet, you began to believe a dangerous lie, that your best days are behind you, that your usefulness is over. But listen to me, child. There's still purpose in your days. I'm not done with you. You may feel like your life is winding down, but I see it differently. You see a sunset. I see seeds still waiting to be planted. You feel weary. I see wisdom just beginning to shine. You feel invisible. I see influence reaching deeper than ever. Billy Graham preached into his 90s. He once said, "The will of God will not take us where the grace of God cannot sustain us." That is true not only for the young stepping into calling, but for the seasoned saints who feel like their story is winding down. I don't count your worth by years left. I measure it by faith still burning. Don't believe the myth that age disqualifies you. Don't buy the lie that rest means retreat. You may not have the energy of your youth, but you have something far more powerful. Experience. You've walked through fires and come out faithful. You've seen my hand through seasons others haven't lived through yet, and your voice, seasoned by grace, purified by hardship, is more valuable than you know. Moses was 80 when I called him to lead. Abraham was 99 when I fulfilled my promise to him. Anna was an old widow when she prophesied over the Christ child. Caleb was 85 when he said, "Give me this mountain." The world may put an expiration date on your usefulness, but I don't. The world values speed. I value surrender. The world values charisma. I value consistency. And when you wake up in the morning with breath in your lungs, that is proof that I still have plans for you. Plans to bless someone with your kindness. Plans to intercede for someone with your prayers. Plans to share a word of wisdom that turns someone's life around. You may not preach from a pulpit, but you're preaching every day with how you love, how you serve, how you endure. You may not run anymore, but your prayers still run ahead of others. You may not be seen on a stage, but heaven still sees you kneeling, and that moves mountains. Purpose doesn't always look flashy. Sometimes it looks like a phone call made at the right moment, a grandchild reminded they are loved, a neighbor seen and cared for, a discouraged heart lifted by your testimony. And those things, those moments, they are eternal. You are still part of my plan. You are still carrying my presence. You are still my ambassador. So don't retreat into invisibility. Don't tell yourself you've outlived your usefulness. Don't believe that legacy is only built when you're young. You are living your legacy right now, with every kind word, every prayer, every act of obedience. No one else sees but me. Your purpose isn't behind you. It's in the people you still influence, in the words you still speak, in the fire that still burns in your spirit, even if your body has slowed. You are the keeper of stories, of how I've been faithful. You are a watchman still praying over your family. You are a teacher, a light, a presence of peace in a world running out of it. You may think you're finished, but I see you as just beginning a new chapter. And child, I write beautiful chapters. You've seen some harvest, but there is still more to reap. You've heard some answers, but there are still prayers I will honor. You felt my presence, but you haven't seen the full measure of my glory yet. So rise, not to do everything, but to do something, to live this day on purpose. Because this day matters, you matter, and I am not done, not today, not tomorrow, not until your final breath. And even then, your legacy will still echo, because you walked with me. So no more saying, I'm too old. Say instead, Lord, what's next? Because I still have answers, I still have assignments, and I still have purpose for every one of your days. You've always known how to cry out when the pain hits, when life breaks open, when the diagnosis comes, when the storm rises, you fall to your knees and call my name, and I hear you every time. I catch those prayers like treasures, but child, I want more than crisis prayers. Talk to me, not just when things go wrong. I'm not a distant deity waiting for trouble to get involved. I'm not your last resort. I'm your first love. I'm not the emergency exit. I'm the door that was always open. I want to walk with you in the ordinary. I want to sit beside you in the quiet. I want to be the first name you speak in the morning and the last voice you hear at night. Billy Graham once said, prayer is simply a two-way conversation between you and God. And like any loving father, I long for that conversation, not just to rescue you, but to know you. Not because I don't already know everything about you, but because you draw near to me when you share. You've made your faith about big moments, altar calls, breakthroughs, deliverances, and yes, I was there for everyone. But the deep, sustaining strength you long for, it grows in the daily conversation, the steady communion, the habit of drawing near when nothing feels urgent. I want to hear about your joys, not just your fears. I want to hear your thankfulness, not just your desperation. I want you to tell me when your grandchild makes you smile, when the breeze feels good on your skin, when the quiet moment in your day feels sacred. That's prayer too. You don't need poetic words. You don't need to impress me with your theology. You don't need to rehearse your failures or pad your righteousness. I already know. What I want is you. You, when you're laughing. You, when you're wondering. You, when you're sipping coffee in the early light and thinking about nothing in particular, yet choosing to say, "Good morning, Lord." That's where intimacy lives. That's where joy returns. That's where the anxiety begins to fade. Not because your world has changed, but because you remember, I'm in it with you. Too often, you wait until the crisis to cry out. But I'm here in the calm. I'm here before the storm. I'm here when nothing seems urgent, and that's when I want to be known, not as your rescuer, but as your father. I want to be the one you bring the little things to, because those little things, they matter to me. I see when you misplace something and feel frustrated. I see when you feel a little off, a little lonely, but don't know why. I see when you want to feel joy, but your heart feels numb. Talk to me about those things too. I never grow tired of your voice. Your words don't burden me, they draw me closer. Prayer isn't a performance, it's permission to open your heart, to lay down your burdens, to ask, to listen, to rest. It's not a monologue, it's a dance, a rhythm, a relationship. It's not about fixing everything, it's about walking with me through everything. In the garden, I walked with Adam in the cool of the day. That's what I want with you. Not just holy moments, but ordinary walks. Not just sermons, but conversations. Not just answers, But connection, you don't need a crisis to draw near. You only need desire. I'm already listening, even before you speak, but I long for your voice, the voice I crafted, the voice I know better than you do. Don't wait for pain to pull you close. Let love do it first. Come without agenda. Come without fear. Come just to say hello. Come and find that I'm already here. Because in my presence, there is fullness of joy, not just relief. Because in my voice, there is peace, not just protection. Because in my arms, there is home, not just help. So today, talk to me. Not because things are bad, but because I am good. And because you were made for this. You're exhausted, not just in your body, but in your soul. You're carrying more than anyone sees, more than you admit, more than you were ever meant to hold. Responsibilities, regrets, worries, secret burdens that press like invisible bricks on your chest. You smile through it. You keep going, but inside, you're weighed down. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to carry what I already died to lift. That guilt you keep revisiting, that fear about tomorrow, that sense that everything depends on you. Lay it down. I didn't go to the cross so you could keep living like it never happened. I didn't endure the weight of the world to watch you try to carry yours alone. When I stretched out my arms, I bore it all, not just your sins, but your sorrows, your stress, your shame. Billy Graham once said, Christ not only died to save you from the penalty of sin, he rose to empower you to live above the weight of it. That weight, it's not yours anymore. I took it. Every burden, every secret ache, every hidden fear. I took it all. So why are you still carrying it? You don't have to prove your strength to me. I'm not looking for superheroes. I'm calling my children to be honest, to be surrendered, to live light, not because life is easy, but because they've handed the heavy to me. You've been trying to hold it all together, your family, your faith, your image, your future, but none of those things were ever meant to rest on your shoulders. They were meant to rest in my hands. My yoke is easy, my burden is light, but you can't feel that until you let go of the one you're dragging behind you. Some of you are carrying the pressure to be perfect. Some of you are carrying the fear of disappointing everyone around you. Some of you are carrying a grief that keeps rising, no matter how hard you push it down. Some of you are carrying old words spoken over you, words that still haunt, still hurt, still shape how you see yourself. Bring it all. Don't filter it first. Don't tidy it up. Bring the mess. Bring the memories. Bring the weight. I'm not surprised by what you carry. I'm not overwhelmed by it. But I'm heartbroken, watching you live as if I never offered you a better way. This isn't just an invitation. It's a rescue from anxiety, from self-hatred, from the constant fear that you're not enough. You don't have to carry that. You never did. When I said, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden," I meant it. I knew you would feel crushed by this world. I knew you would take on things that aren't yours to hold. I knew you would try to survive by your own strength. But child, I didn't call you to survive. I called you to live. And real life, abundant life, starts when you admit you're tired and trust me to take the weight. Give me your fear of the future. Give me the marriage you're trying so hard to fix. Give me the child you worry about when the house is quiet. Give me the shame that still follows you into your dreams. Give me the voice that tells you you're too much or not enough. Give me the questions you haven't dared ask. I can handle them. I already carried the weight of sin and sorrow to the cross. I already crushed the serpent's head under my heel. I already walked out of the tomb so you could walk out of your grave. So why live like you're still bound? Why walk like you're still shackled? Why drag what I already died to lift? It's time to be free, not because life is light, but because I carry what you can't. Let me Trust me. You'll still have battles, but you won't be bearing them alone. You'll still have responsibilities, but not the crushing expectation to hold the universe together. That's my job, and I'm really good at it. You don't have to carry this. Not anymore. You never did. So lay it down and walk with me, not as a burdened soul, but as a beloved child, finally breathing again. You've told yourself it's too late, that what you've lived through is just personal now, quiet history, sealed in silence. You've looked at your scars and assumed they no longer speak. You've minimized the value of your story, convincing yourself that no one would care, no one would understand, no one would listen. But child, hear me clearly. Your story still matters to someone. The moments you've lived, the ones that nearly broke you, the ones you thought you wouldn't survive, the moments you found grace when there should have been judgment, those aren't just fragments of your past. They are seeds. Seeds of hope, of healing, of truth. And someone, somewhere, is waiting to hear them. You may think your time to influence has passed, that if you didn't write it down, if you didn't preach it, record it, publish it, it's too late. But I never waste a story, and I certainly never waste a life redeemed by my grace. Billy Graham once said, "God can use anyone who is willing to be used. It's not ability he looks for, but availability." And availability often looks like courage, the courage to speak, to share, to let someone else know they are not alone. I know the enemy has tried to silence you. He's told you no one would believe you, no one would respect you, no one would care. But that lie is rooted in fear, fear of your voice, fear of your light, fear of your testimony. Because your story, no matter how simple, carries the power to break someone else's chains. Someone needs to hear that God restored your marriage. Someone needs to hear how you overcame addiction. Someone needs to know you lost everything and still found me faithful. Someone needs to know that you wrestled with doubt, depression, loneliness, and that I never left you. Someone needs to know what healing looks like in real time, not in theory, not in perfection, but in reality. And you, child, you carry that reality. You don't need a stage. You don't need a platform. You need a willing heart to share in a conversation, to write the letter, to make the call, to tell the story to your grandchild, to encourage the person beside you in church. Your story isn't about you. It's about what I've done through you. And when you speak it, when you offer it, when you let it breathe in the lives of others, I get glory, and they find hope. You think they need someone perfect? No. They need someone real, someone who's been there, someone who bled and survived, someone who saw the darkness and still reached for the light. That's you. Don't disqualify yourself from ministry because you're not standing behind a pulpit. The greatest sermons are often preached around a dinner table, on a back porch, in a hospital room, in a prayer whispered beside someone too weary to speak. I gave you that story for a reason. It shaped you, but it's not just for you. You are a living letter, a testimony still unfolding. And your scars, your lessons, your redemption, these are the very things that someone else is desperate to hear. They don't need a lecture. They need your honesty. They don't need a formula. They need your tears. They don't need you to have all the answers. They just need to know it's possible to walk through what they're facing and come out with faith still intact. Let me use your story. Let me turn your pain into someone else's breakthrough. Let me breathe purpose into what once felt like meaningless suffering. It all matters. Every chapter, every valley, every restoration. And yes, even the parts you're still healing from. You don't have to be finished to speak. You just have to be faithful. So today, open your mouth. Share what you've seen. Speak what you've learned. Tell the truth about my faithfulness. Because someone's freedom is tied to your courage. Your story still matters. It always did, and it always will. There are prayers you've prayed that you no longer remember. Words whispered in hospital rooms, in late night HT silence, in moments of desperation when you had no one else to turn to. Prayers for your children, prayers for healing, prayers for peace you've still never felt. You might have thought they faded, fell flat, or were forgotten. But child, let me remind you, your prayers didn't disappear. They're still moving heaven. Every word you've ever spoken to me in faith, every plea, every tear, every groan too deep for words was heard. And more than heard, it was cherished, stored, answered in ways you may not see yet, but I've never ignored a single one. They weren't echoes lost in the wind. They were seeds planted in eternity. In Revelation 5:8, it says the prayers of the saints are like golden bowls of incense before my throne. That means your voice, the one you thought was too weak, too late, too ordinary, is still echoing in the chambers of heaven. I haven't forgotten what you asked for. I'm still working. Billy Graham once said, "Heaven is full of answers to prayers for which no one ever be othered to ask. But you did ask. You brought your heart to me. You laid down what mattered most. And just because the answer didn't come in your time, in your way, doesn't mean it won't come in mine." You've looked at unanswered prayers and called them failures. You've asked, "God, why haven't you moved?" But I move differently than you expect. My timing stretches beyond your comprehension. My answers often come dressed in the ordinary. And sometimes, what feels like delay is actually deep preparation. Your prayer for your son, I'm still chasing him. Your prayer for your health, I'm still sustaining you in ways you don't even see. Your prayer for reconciliation, I'm softening hearts, sometimes starting with yours. I do not operate on your clock, but I do respond to your faith. Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes it's no, sometimes it's not yet, but never, never is it unheard. Do not measure my silence as my absence. Do not confuse your waiting with my neglect. There are angels moving because of your prayers. There are demons trembling because of your prayers. There are generations being shaped by the words you sowed in hidden places. When you prayed in your kitchen, I listened. When you wept in your car, I was there. When you lifted up the name of someone who didn't even know you were praying for them, that prayer reached me. And I don't forget. Your prayers are eternal. Your faith, even as small as a mustard seed, moves mountains. Not always the ones you can see. Sometimes it's the ones in hearts, in legacies, in the unseen realm where battles rage and angels war. Don't stop praying. Don't stop believing. Even if you don't see the answer in your lifetime, you can trust this. No prayer spoken in my name ever dies. I'm the God who heard Hannah, the God who heard Elijah, the God who heard a criminal on a cross say just 7 words. Remember me when you come into your kingdom. And I remembered. I always remember. That prayer you think is too small, I hear it. That one you've repeated 1,000 times, I'm still listening. That prayer you stopped praying because you were afraid to hope again, I'm still holding it. Bring them all back to me. Not because I need reminders, but because you need renewing. Come boldly, even now. Ask again. Hope again. Cry out again. Not because you have to convince me, but because I love hearing your voice. Because your prayers are not transactions, they are communion. You don't have to say it perfectly. You don't have to know the right words. Just speak from your heart. Whisper if that's all you have left, and trust me with the rest. Because your prayers aren't floating away into the void. They're resting on my altar. They're rising like incense, and they're still moving heaven. You've been trying so hard. You've prayed, sacrificed, stayed up late thinking about every need, every burden, every child, every grandchild, every person you love. You carry their futures on your shoulders, as if they depend solely on your wisdom, our words, your intercession. You've felt the quiet pressure. If I don't hold it all together, it'll fall apart. But today, I'm reminding you, let me hold your family. It's not all on you. You are not the savior of your household. You are not the anchor of every generation. You are not the one who writes the story. That's my role. I see how your heart aches when someone you love is walking away from the truth. I see how you grieve in silence over the decisions they make. I see the disappointment, the fear, the helplessness, and I know you wonder if your prayers even made a dent. But child, I am the God of your family, and I haven't let go of them. Billy Graham once said, "The greatest legacy one can pass on to one's children and grandchildren is not money or material things, but rather a legacy of character and faith." You've planted seeds of faith. You've loved sacrificially. You've spoken my name. And even if it seems like no one heard, I did. I saw it all. I've captured every prayer. I've recorded every moment you whispered their names through tears. You are not the failure of your family's faith. You are not responsible for every decision they make. You are responsible to pray, to love, to be faithful. And you've done that more than you know. You've stood in the gap. You've been the intercessor. You've covered them with blessings when they didn't even know they were being protected. But now, let me carry the part you can't. Let me chase the prodigal. Let me soften the heart that feels so hard. Let me speak in the night to the one you can't seem to reach. Let me remind you, you are not their Holy Spirit. You are their mother, their father, their grandparent, their friend. You are the vessel, not the vine. You are a light, but I am the source. You don't have to lose sleep believing it all depends on your strength. I give sleep to my beloved, and I'm calling you to rest, not because the work is finished, but because I am still working, even when you are not. You've done more than you think. You've impacted more than you know. And now, trust me with the rest. Psalm 127 says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain." You've been building with me, not in vain. But it's time to put down the weight of what was never yours to carry. Yes, keep praying. Yes, keep loving. Yes, keep modeling what it looks like to follow me. But stop trying to hold it all together. That's not faith. That's fear in disguise. Faith says, I've done what I can, and now I place it in your hands. Faith says, even if I don't see the result now, I trust you're still at work. Faith says, your timing, not mine. Your way, not mine. And I honor that faith. You may not see every prayer answered in your lifetime. You may not witness every return, every restoration, but my promises never expire. My word never returns void, and your prayers never lose power just because you're growing older. Even now, in your later years, you are still a warrior, not because you shout, but because you kneel, not because you control, but because you release. Let me have them. Every name you've whispered at night, every worry you've carried in silence, every fear that keeps rising up when you think about their future, hand them to me, again and again if you must. Because I'm not tired of carrying what you can't. I love them even more than you do, and I'm not finished with their story. So breathe, beloved. I'm holding your family. You don't have to. You never truly did. There were days you didn't feel lovable, days you pulled away from me, convinced that I'd do the same. Days when your failures felt louder than your faith, when shame wrapped around your soul like a fog. Days when you questioned if I still cared, if I was still near, if I could still call you mine. But child, hear me now. I've loved you the whole time, even when you forgot. My love wasn't earned when you were faithful, so it wasn't lost when you were broken. My love didn't begin when you finally got IT together, so it didn't vanish when you fell apart. My love didn't come and go with your emotions. It stood firm when you walked away. It waited patiently when you wandered. It pursued you when you gave up trying. There is not a single moment in your story that exists outside the reach of my love. I loved you in the womb. I loved you in your youth. I loved you when you knew better, but did it anyway. I loved you when you stopped praying, stopped believing, stopped hoping. I loved you when you looked for love in places that left you empty. I loved you when you tried to earn what was always meant to be a gift. Billy Graham once said, "God's love for us never changes. It is not based on how good we are or what we do to please Him. It is unchanging, unwavering, and unconditional. That truth has always been yours, even when you couldn't feel it, even when you didn't know how to receive it. I watched you search for affirmation in people who didn't see your worth. I watched you question your value because of things others said or didn't say. I watched you build walls to protect your heart, not realizing those same walls were keeping me out. But I never stopped knocking. I never stopped waiting. I never stopped loving. Because my love is not an idea. It's not a principle. It's a person, and His name is Jesus. He came not just to rescue you, but to remind you that you are worth dying for, that you are worth staying for, that you are not a burden, not a mistake, not a forgotten name. You are mine, and I've been calling you back, not to punish, but to restore, not to scold, but to embrace. I'm not holding your past against you. I'm holding you. I'm not watching the clock to see how long you've been away. I'm watching for your return, like a father on the porch. You don't have to earn your way back. You only have to say yes. Yes to love that never left. Yes to grace that never ran out. Yes to belonging that was never revoked. Your story has not disqualified you. Your silence has not disqualified you. Even your forgetting has not disqualified you. Because I never forgot. Not the promises I made over you, not the calling I placed on your life, not the beauty I planted in your soul. You may have forgotten what it feels like to be deeply known, unconditionally loved. But I haven't. And I still see you that way, right now. No matter how long it's been, no matter how far you feel, no matter how many times you've tried to start over, start here, start now. Just say yes again. Let my love wash over every fear, every failure, every false belief. You've always been mine, not when you were perfect, not when you got it right, but the whole time. And I'm still here, still loving, still calling, still waiting, because love doesn't walk away, and I never will. Maybe now, after hearing what He's been whispering, you feel something shifting. Not loud, not dramatic, but a quiet knowing, a soft peace, a gentle voice inside saying, "That was for me," because it was. All of it, every word, every truth, every line in this message was the heart of a father reaching back out to his child. You who thought you were forgotten, you who almost stopped hoping, you who never knew how deeply you were seen. Now you know. God has been speaking. And now you've heard Him. Carry this voice with you. Let it lead you back to prayer. Let it soften how you speak to others. Let it become your anchor when life gets noisy again. You don't need to earn this peace. Just receive it. You don't need to perform for this love. Just rest in it. And when the world starts spinning again, when the worries rise, when you're tempted to believe He's gone quiet again, remember this: He never stopped speaking, and He'll never stop loving you. Not now, not ever. You are still His, and He's still speaking. Are you listening?